Let's go ahead and get into this main event, man. This is a 5-star classic, but most importantly, and I think this is the most important thing that's going to come out of this show, Swerve Strickland has arrived. Swerve Strickland is now a major main event player in pro wrestling. He's here. He's done it. And I've been on this guy's side for a long time. I watched him in MLW. I watched him in Lucha Underground. I watched a little bit of stuff in NXT, and then when he came over to AEW, I was like, finally, he's like in the right spot. And then I just didn't feel like they were going to get behind him. And then at the beginning of the year, it's like, oh man, we got some momentum. And then he won the title against Samoa Joe, and the title win was cold, to be honest with you. And he started to lose some momentum, believe it or not. Once he won the title, he lost a little bit of momentum. And I was disappointed in that. And then his first opponent was Christian Cage. And while I love Christian Cage, I felt like that was a weak opponent for a main event spot on a pay-per-view and for a world title match, especially because he was coming off of a loss. And so they did a good job telling the story about how Christian got the title match. But still, like if you take it into the context of sports, and this is a sports-based promotion, I thought it was weak. But he remained strong. He remained steadfast. He was still continuing to have good matches and good segments. And this little feud, babyface versus babyface feud with Ospreay, started off a little bit like we wanted to see it, but we're like, what's it going to be? But then they cranked up the heat on those promos. And I think those promos put the interest level on this over the top. They got personal in their promos without turning heel. And that's a talent. That really is a talent. I thought he did a great job. And the interest level was up. And by the time this match started, the crowd heat was amazing. It was the most over match of the night. And it's like, we're like 5 hours in at this point. And everybody's going crazy. And they went crazy for him. Jim Jones wrapped him to the ring or introduced him. And then they hit the Swerve song to the ring and they're doing the Swerve dance. And the guy looks like, acts like, and comes across like, and works like a major pro wrestling star. He has arrived. It is now the Swerve Strickland era. And Will Ospreay plays a part in that because he worked his ass off to get this guy over. He really did. And in the context of the match, they had the ref bump, which is kind of lame, but it made sense that because they're trying to keep Ospreay strong too. So Swerve basically had to kill him to get this victory. And that's smart because they want Ospreay to have this spot eventually. But Ospreay really has been the top babyface in the company since he arrived. I think that flip-flopped tonight. But that doesn't mean that Ospreay lost a step. I think that he just helped elevate Swerve to his level. And then eventually we're going to get this rematch. And Ospreay is going to have to get the title at some point. So I don't know if we're going to get the rematch before. I don't know if Ospreay will beat him for the title. Like, Swerve's going to lose the title eventually, of course. And at some point, Ospreay's got to get it at Wembley Stadium in the UK. Obviously not happening this year, but it's going to happen. And I'm really looking forward to it. But, I already kicked off of Wade Keller's recap here. And because I just can't do justice with the play-by-play because they hit so many moves and they did a ton of stuff. At one point they Ospreay hit the hidden blade and we thought it was going to be the finish, but he hit the hidden blade and the referee, and then Don Callis tries to give him a screwdriver. He comes out, he sees Nana pushed over Don Callis, and he's like about to kill Prince Nana with the screwdriver, and then he thinks better of it, tosses the screwdriver, and then Swerve Strickland has to hit him with like 10 moves, like 10 finishers in a row to beat him. But it worked, man. Look, sometimes I'm like, too many kickouts is lame, but Ospreay knows how to do it, and he times them perfectly. The match ruled, man. This was an all-time great. It's gonna be one of the match of the year candidates. It's gonna be difficult to beat, and I think historical significance is gonna be on the side of this one because this was the night that Swerve Strickland became a megastar. He is it. He is the top guy, bar none, in AEW right now, and it is about time. He is fantastic, and this show was really good. As far as like Forbidden Doors go, it's like 3 of 3. This is the third installment, and this was like third on the list, but it was still very good. Just a lot of the matches that came before it, they never really reached the level that we saw in years prior. I think, I'll be honest, and like smartly so, I think a lot of people were saving some stuff for the main event. Plus, they just had too many matches, so which means they had to cut time for all the other matches. So you got like Danielson and Shingo going like 15 minutes when we probably, if they went 25, that's a match of the year candidate. You know what I mean? So if they took out that ladder match, they took out the Jericho. Well, Jericho, I just don't like the learning tree. But if they took out a few of those and just let, Danielson and Shingo go, and Sabre and Orange Cassidy get a couple more minutes, I think you're probably looking at like 3 or 4 5-star matches on one pay-per-view. But and I'm not complaining that they didn't have that. I think honestly that's sometimes a little too much, because you just forget the greatness. But I think this night you're going to remember the match between Ospreay and Swerve Strickland, because you didn't have 3 or 4 5-star matches on the undercard. You had good matches, entertaining matches. You moved stories along, and you had a cool mix of New Japan and CMLL and AEW and all that. But they saved a lot for the main event. I think that was smart. I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. But Forbidden Door, I think was a really fun show. And I think that is going to do it for us. If you're listening on Patreon, we'll be back this weekend for Brace for Impact, so check that out. And JD and I will try to figure out if we can get together this coming up weekend to record some more stuff for you guys. If news breaks, we'll try to cover it. And if you're on the Voices of Wrestling feed, thank you for being here. Stay tuned for a compilation of the Who Killed WCW series. I put all 4 episodes together, all 4 of our reaction shows together, and put it in a little bit of a compilation for you guys. So I hope you guys enjoy that. And if you want more stuff like that, head to patreon.com/the Mike and JD show. Become a Patreon subscriber today. And you could have had this show, this Forbidden Door recap show, on Monday night. And could have joined me live and in living color on Monday night. Or would have had it in your podcast feed early Tuesday morning. So join us over at patreon.com/the Mike and JD show. Hold on. We got to give a big shout out to Billy. Hey, Billy, what's up, man? He says Mystico is an international star right now and feels like a big deal. Yeah. I think that, AEW and CMLL need to get together and figure out a way for next year Forbidden Door for Mystico to be in that main event. Or maybe they're just going to save that for like an Arena Mexico Forbidden Door type show. Now that New Japan's getting one, I think probably like next year, maybe we'll get one in CMLL. Maybe like each one will host their own, and whoever's hosting will have like the most wins. I think that's what they'll probably do. Like AEW's like fitting the bill on this one, so like, hey, we're gonna beat everybody's asses, but New Japan will give you 2 victories. We'll give you your title back, and we'll let Zack Sabre Jr. get a win over Orange Cassidy. So I can see that. But all right, guys, hey, that is gonna do it for me this time, and until next time, mahalo.
Competition starting to get thick, it's the click, so I hope you work your A game. A made no rain from the track when we unite and spit. This is an A game, better bring your A game. Competition starting to get thick, it's the click.